Where are the Beatles now? Hello, everyone, and welcome to True Celebrity Stories. Many years have passed, and the Beatles still remain on everyone's lips. The band, who once ruled the world of music, is no more, but fans still consistently talk about them and what they achieved. Most importantly, fans still want to know where the band members are and what they have been up to. This will be our focus on today's video, as we take a look at where the Beatles are now. Before we start, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notification. Without any further delay, let's get started. To get started on today's video, we first must look at where the Beatles started to where they are today. From 1960 to 1970, the Beatles were the go-to band and everyone loved them. In those 10 years, the band rocked the world, created history, and planted love in so many people's hearts. So who are the Beatles? It all started in March 1957, when a 16-year-old boy named John Lennon formed a group with several of his friends from Quarry Bank High School. The group was a small band named the Quarrymen, previously known as the Blackjacks. John Lennon was the son of a merchant seaman. John and the Quarrymen were to perform at events at a church fete at St. Peter's Church in Woolton, Liverpool. It was there that the Quarrymen's bassist introduced Lennon to a classmate, Paul McCartney. Paul McCartney, who was 15 years old, was said to join in with the band that night. Paul McCartney was the firstborn of his parents, and his father was a band member. It's safe for you to say McCartney was born into music. Eventually, after playing with Lennon's Quarrymen, he got a permanent position in the band. McCartney did well in his preparations towards events of the band, but he experienced stage fright and couldn't perform well. Due to that performance, George Harrison was brought in to boost the band's prowess. Harrison joined the band when he was 15 years old as the lead guitarist. George Harrison brought in a new vibe to the band, and his performance shaped the group's early sound. The Quarrymen were performing at local parties and family events, such as the reception for Harrison's brother's wedding. They also did some professional gigs in venues like Hippodrome in Manchester and Casbah Coffee Club in Liverpool. In 1959, John Lennon got into the Liverpool College of Arts, and his friends from Quarry Bank left the group, and this changed the band's name to Johnny and the Moondogs. In the Liverpool College of Arts, Lennon met Stuart Sutcliffe, a painter who hailed from Scotland. Stuart Sutcliffe was brought into the band to play bass. Sutcliffe and Lennon are always credited for the invention of the most popular name of the band, the Beatles. It was said that the two boys had a fascination with group names with double meanings, and they liked Buddy Holly's band, the Crickets. Looking at the crickets that they liked, it means an insect and a sport. There were numerous reports on how they coined their name. Some said that the initial name was Beatles, and some say that John Lennon came up with Beatles. John Lennon and Paul McCartney were closer than other members of the band. The two boys were seen together playing acoustic sets in any space they felt at ease. Their friendship later formed a singer-songwriter partnership in the future of the band. Many of the recorded songs were written by these two young chaps. Lennon, McCartney, Harrison, and Sutcliffe were performing at venues including social clubs and dance halls around England and Scotland between 1960 to the first half of 1961. During this period, the band had a problem. None of the members had an excellent command of drumming. So, they employed lots of drummers most time, different drummers for different events. Paul McCartney decided to step up as a permanent drummer for the group, and he tried his best, but he was only used as a drummer for only one event. They performed at a strip club in Upper Parliament Street. By August 1960, the band had gotten a drummer named Pete Best, and they moved to Germany. Lennon, Harrison, Best, Sutcliffe, and McCartney were seen performing at the Indra Club, the larger Kaiserkeller, and the Top 10 Club in Hamburg. It was in Germany that the band developed, and the Germans were enjoying the Beatles. In December 1961, the band was approached by Brian Epstein, who wanted to manage the band. In January 1962, Epstein got a 5-year contract, and he was later known as one of the fifth Beatles and the man who discovered the Beatles. Stuart Ferguson Victor Sutcliffe died on the 10th of April 1962 in Hamburg, aged 21. Epstein arranged a meeting for the boys with George Martin, a producer that made comedy records with Bernard Cribbins. The boys failed to impress the man, but he gave the boys a chance to do better. He signed the Beatles to EMI's Parlophone label. He enlightened them about their blunders, and this prompted Epstein to fire Pete Best. Then, Richard Starkey, popularly known as Ringo Starr, came on board and sealed what's known as the Beatles forever. With everybody now in place, the band worked earnestly and released their first album in January 1963. The album was titled Please Please Me, and it topped UK Albums chart. This was just the beginning of their greatness. The album was voted 39th on Rolling Stone's list of the 500 greatest albums of all time in 2012. By the end of 1962, the band had improved a lot. Epstein even told the band at this time that if they wanted to go places and be superstars, they needed to change how they do business. They need to be professional. Mind you, the band had been going on tours and they had been enjoying warm receptions wherever they go. Exactly 8 months after the release of their first album, the Beatles dropped another album titled With the Beatles. The album received advance orders of 270,000 copies and sold about 500,000 copies in a week. With the Beatles was greater than Please Please Me. Michael Erlewine described the LP as a sequel of the highest order, one that betters the original. The album didn't only catch the attention of Erlewine, but also William Mann of The Times, who said that John Lennon and Paul McCartney were the outstanding English composers of 1963. The Times even featured lots of articles where William Mann analyzed the tracks on the album, hence giving it more respect. The album became the second album in UK chart history to sell 1 million copies. The nickname, the Fab Four, was traced to this album, and it all started when Tony Barrow, the band's press officer, called the band the Fabulous Foursome. The band would finally decide to call themselves the Beatles, and the following year after that, they toured the US and completely won everyone over. Now that we have looked at how the Beatles came out, let's have a look at where they are now. The years have rolled by, and it has not been too favorable for the Beatles. Sadly, out of the 4 members of the Beatles, 2 of them are still living. Though they broke up in 1969, the official statement was made in April of 1970. The Beatles' die-hard fans have always wanted to know where they are and what they are doing. So where are the Beatles now? Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr are both alive and still making music. John Lennon and George Harrison have both died. A crazed fan assassinated Lennon in 1980 at the young age of 40. That's the true definition of taking things too far. In 2001, George Harrison passed away from lung cancer at 58. He is still remembered today for all the memory he created with the Beatles. Paul McCartney is 79 years old and living in Sussex. He is still in good health and making music. His most recent tour began in December of 2019. Ringo Starr lives in the UK as well and is 81 years old. Even though they are both old, these 2 men have continued to do what they love, and that is to make music. For Sir Paul McCartney. McCartney is the most famous Beatle alive today. Well, obviously, since he and Ringo Starr are the only surviving members, this is not surprising. In their prime, McCartney and Lennon were the 2 most famous and popular Beatles when the whole world was on its knees for the Beatles, and it remains as such today. McCartney was the bassist and lead singer for the Beatles. He was knighted for his fame and contributions to music in the United Kingdom, and is still going strong in the industry. He has branched out into many different genres of music. He has collaborated with Kanye West and Rihanna on the hip-hop hit 4 5 Seconds. In 2005, he performed as the act for the halftime show during the Super Bowl. He showed no signs of slowing down, still touring the world and making new music. He has become the two surviving members' wealthiest, with an estimated $1.2 billion net worth. For Sir Ringo Starr. In his earlier days with the group, some loved Ringo, while others didn't want to give him a chance because they were angry that Best was gone. However, even with those that loved him, he never really got the credit he deserved for his contributions to the band. He wrote or co-wrote many songs, and even sang lead vocals sometimes. In 2008, Ringo became Sir Ringo Starr. Now, at 81, he is still going. He has released approximately 20 songs in the past few years and even celebrated his 80th birthday with a live benefit concert. He lent his talent and fame to Black Lives Matter Global Network's charity, the David Lynch Foundation, MCCARTNEY, and WaterAid. And with that, we have come to the end of the video for today. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this. And don't forget to turn on notifications. Until next time, stay safe and goodbye.